Stargate SG-1, Season 1, Episode 9, Brief Candle, written by Steve Barnes and Catherine Powers, she of Emancipation infamy, is one of the biggest fails in Stargate SG-1 for its mishandling of what should be recognizable to all as sexual assault, but isn't because it's female against male instead of male against female. What should be treated as a grim story akin to the backstory of Veronica Mars is instead treated as a fun sci-fi adventure without any awareness of its rapey elements. It begins on the planet Argos, where a man named Elikos prays to the statue of Pelops, a heroic figure from Greek mythology, if not actually a god, and he asks him to ensure his wife Thetis give birth healthily. At that exact moment, SG-1 arrives, so of course they're a gift from Pelops. Elikos asks them for help. All the men look at Sam, thinking that as a woman she should know about this womanly thing. As it isn't the 1800s, Sam points out that she has no more clue about it than them. This is a small feminist moment, as is Daniel being the one to help deliver the baby, based on an experience on an archaeological trip. The Argosians are extremely grateful, and Elikos names the baby after Daniel. Due to the way he just declares it, it would seem that his wife's opinion matters very little, and that the Argosians are traditionally patriarchal because the writers are lazy. They invite SG-1 to attend their village's daily party, and as Pelops abandoned this place long ago, they accept. There are some odd things about the Argosians. They're all beautiful, young, healthy, and Thetis bounces back very quickly. During the party, Jack is offered some kind of flour pizza by a beautiful woman named Cynthia, to whom Jack seems attracted. Sam looks somewhat annoyed by his libido as he flirts with her and eats her food.
I don't think we should eat any food here.
It turns out Kowalski had a point, as the flour pizza seems to have some hallucinogenic and sedative effects. Women lead Jack off to watch Cynthia do some erotic dance, and the drug makes him compliant. Showtime sleaze, by the way. The other members of SG-1 find this behavior unusual, but don't press it because the Argosians keep them back. He wakes up some hours later having had sex with Cynthia while in this state of intoxication. Now this was essentially a date rape. We'll find out that Cynthia didn't intend to hurt him, as the flour pizza was an offer of marriage, so it's not as antagonistic as date rape, but its nature is very similar. From what we and Jack know at this point, a nice stranger offered him something, he was intoxicated without his consent, and then had sex with the stranger while in this state. If Jack were a woman and Cynthia were a man, this would be seen as date rape immediately. The associations between masculinity and strength are too strong though, so they don't even allude to it being violation at all. The episode guide on the DVD summarizes this part as saying, "The beautiful Cynthia seduces Colonel O'Neill," as if he chose to do something stupid instead of being forced into it. Because of the sci-fi plot, all of the Argosians went to sleep at once and can't be woken, so the rest of SG-1 finds Jack. Sam is shocked to see that her superior was so irresponsible as to have sex with a local like some kind of playboy Captain Kirk. She lets her distaste be known to shame him. It is remarkable how similar this is to what female rape victims experience all the time. A woman might accept a drink from a handsome, flirtatious stranger and unknowingly consume a date rape drug. According to Wikipedia, quote, "Date rape drugs often have sedative, hypnotic, dissociative, and/or amnesiac effects, and can be added to a food or drink without the victim's knowledge," unquote. She then might be herded away while her friends think distastefully about her being a slut. When she comes to, she's seen as the cause of everything bad that happened to her, and she is reviled as a slut. Veronica Mars depicts a story like this in a way that leads us to feel great sympathy for the victim and hate her mistreatment by her community. Stargate SG-1's Brief Candle goes to very similar places, but not to expose injustice in the handling of rape victims. Rather, it diminishes the actual harm taking place and makes the negative reaction of the community look legitimate. It all stems from sexist gender roles. Men are seen as inherently strong, women as inherently weak. Therefore, in the logic of patriarchy, only men can be perpetrators and only women can be victims. Someone like Catherine Powers, who would use the first normal episode of Stargate SG-1 to make a feminist screed, should know better. Actually, that makes me recall the bit of Emancipation where Sam makes the statement that there's no reason to ever hit a woman, indicating that the writer can't envision women as ever a threat. While we're talking about Emancipation, remember when I said, "Remember this for Brief Candle"? What happened was Jack embarrassing Sam by bringing up an event on a past mission where she drank something presumably given to her by the natives that made her take off all her clothes. Now in Brief Candle, she's shocked and disturbed by Jack's actions after eating the flour pizza, when she should be in a better position than anyone to understand, especially given that she's a feminist woman and should understand the implications of rape when they present themselves. You might say that line in Emancipation was a throwaway gag and forgettable in the overall continuity, but it does establish character and was written by the same exact writer as the Sam of Brief Candle. I'm thinking of starting a We Hate Catherine Powers club, of which I will be treasurer. Anyway, Jack collapses like the Argosians, his last order that no one eat anything of Argos. In the morning, he wakes with all the Argosians. The Argosians think this is just normal. They wake with the sun, party all day, and sleep at sunset. Alikos makes mention of Pelops blessing them 100 days of happiness, making Daniel think that the party is a 100-day celebration. But when Sam, in the middle of collecting mineral samples, yay science expert, talks to Tatis in one of the few female homosocial moments we've seen so far in Stargate, she learns that the baby has aged a year and a day. She and Jack talk to her more and discover that each Argosian lives exactly 100 days. Teal'c finds a Goa'uld Kindle, and learns that Argos is a science experiment. Pelops wanted to see how human culture would evolve over thousands of years' time, and he didn't want to wait that long, so he shortened human lifespans. Which doesn't quite make sense because he's essentially frozen their development to do this. Because Jack has slept with an Argosian, he's acquired the 100-day condition, and Sam speeds back to Earth to find a cure with Dr. Fraiser. This female collaboration is pretty cool. It's the first conversation to pass the Bechdel test, and it is actually important to the plot. They discover the virus is actually a von Neumann nanorobot, and it's compensating for Jack's current age by killing him faster, and he has 2 weeks to live. Jack orders his people off of Argos, and he falls into a deep depression as he waits to die. The fact that 2 women work together to save a man is a nice change of pace from the previous damsel in distress scenarios seen. It's kind of a flip from Emancipation specifically, where Sam was the suffering sex slave waiting for her team to save her, and now Jack waits in a similar way. Jack spends his remaining days grumbling at the statue of Pelops, ignoring the celebrating Argosians. Cynthia comes to him and asks him to talk about Tory marriage customs, and it comes out that she thought they were married because he ate the flour pizza, which was actually a marriage cake. In Catherine Powers' mind, that makes everything fine. And now Cynthia is Jack's love interest for the episode. As much as I am depressed by the rape part, it's worth noting the neutral portrayal of a culture in which the woman proposes to the man. Jack gets angry because Cynthia wants to just eat the Lotus pizza and be happy. He tells her the truth about Pelops and the average human lifespan, and she runs away in tears because she can't fathom such a horrible thing happening. Several days later, he looks like Christopher Lloyd, and Cynthia comes to him to try to get him to enjoy the days he has left. She becomes a figure like Showery to Daniel, the exotic native woman who can lead him to the spiritually fulfilling, respectable role as husband. Jack ends up making a breakthrough by accident when he leads the Argosians to hate Pelops, and they tear down the statue. I don't think that negates the effort of the women because their efforts are legitimized by the narrative, and it's not like Jack did it out of superior intellect. It was just a fortuitous accident. He figures out that the statue is a Goa'uld machine, calls the team, and they together solve the problem. Jack will shrug off the changes in a few days, and the Argosians will age normally from where they are now. Jack says goodbye to Cynthia, the wonderful woman who taught him to enjoy life. It's all treated as a sweet romance, rape completely forgotten, and the episode ends. This episode is insidiously problematic because it's entertaining to watch. It's hokey, but it's not so completely out there that it seems like an insult to the characters like with the Broca Divide. Brief Candle has good storytelling. It's got a thematic allusion to the Garden of Eden and deals with themes about aspiring to more and enjoying life, as well as a fun, campy medical drama. I'm sure plenty of guys watching Showtime loved the exotic Cynthia's sex appeal. And in the middle of all this is a problematic handling of a situation that should be recognized as rape and given the respect it deserves. Yes, Cynthia didn't intend to rape anyone, and neither did Pelops indirectly, but Jack still ended up as the victim of a rape-like scenario. Veronica Mars had a rape-like scenario where GHB was introduced to a situation for the purpose of a recreational drug, and caused inebriated sex that left the appearance of rape, and that was still treated with full seriousness and respect for the victim. The only reason Jack isn't awarded the full respect of a rape victim is that he's a guy, and Cynthia's a woman. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, did you enjoy the play? Other than that huge thing that makes my review very negative, there are parts I enjoy. Dr. Fraiser is an awesome feminist element as a character in general, and when she and Sam get together, it's a really cool thing. I like that Cynthia could propose. When these misunderstandings happen in fiction, it's usually a man unintentionally proposing, as with the Doctor in the Aztec storyline of Doctor Who, or some kind of patriarch giving a woman as a reward, as with Saffron in Firefly. Cynthia, as deluded as she is by Pelops, is at least able to act with her own will and marry some random hot guy. Nevertheless, this rape aspect makes the story very anti-feminist. Along with the Broca Divide and Hathor, Brief Candle is one of Stargate SG-1's biggest feminist fails.